Yes. Can you hear me? Oh, uh, Stephanie, can you hear me? Yes, she's okay. All right, excellent. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Our apologies for our tardiness. This is a special meeting of the Board of Education pursuant to New Jersey statutes and the rules adopted by the Board of Education. Notice of this meeting using an online platform was sent to the Star Ledger and Cablevision of Elizabeth on September 30th, 2024. In addition, this notice is posted on the bulletin board in the lobby of 500 North Broad Street, and pursuant to this act, a copy has been filed with the City Clerk of Elizabeth. There will be an online public portion for citizens to address the board. Participants for the public portion must register online up to the start of the meeting so that they may have the opportunity to speak. The public participation form states the name, email, phone number of the person who wants to comment. Members of the public who prefer not to and do not have their names participate using the online form may continue to participate by emailing statements relative to agenda items and/or education matters to the Secretary of the Board of Education at KENNEDHA@EPSNJ.org. All statements received will be read into the record during the meeting's public comment portion. All emails must be submitted and received by the Secretary of the Board up to the start of the meeting, and as always the case, must include the public's name, full name for the record. Each statement submitted by participants shall be limited to 3 minutes in duration. The total time for public comment shall be limited to 60 minutes. Emails received but not read after the 60-minute duration will be spread in full in the official board minutes of the meeting. At this time, Mr. Kennedy, roll call, please.
Barbosa.
Here. Here. Present. Here.
Mr. Kennedy, I can't hear you.
Chavez.
Here.
Jacobs.
Here.
Marina Ortega.
Here.
Naran.
Here.
Goncalves Pestana.
Here.
Rivera.
Here.
Bathless.
Here. Here. Thank you.
Mr. Kennedy, I'm here too.
Thank you. Recorded you.
At this time,
Go ahead.
the meeting is open for public comments online to those who have registered with an online participation form prior to this session. I shall call individuals to participate based on the order of the sign-in sheet. Each statement made by participants shall be limited to 3 minutes in duration. The total time of public comment shall be limited to 60 minutes. No individual is able to yield their time to another individual. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No participant may address or question board members individually. The following rules for public participation shall apply. Time limits will be strictly enforced. No personal attacks on individuals, no vulgar or indecent language. A person may address the board no more than once during a single meeting. Speakers should refrain from naming individuals. Comments or questions posed during public participation may not be debated. As a reminder, this is a meeting of the board in public, not a meeting of the public. At this time, I call Soraya Hernandez. Is Ms. Hernandez here? Okay, at this time, I call Ms. Christina Morera.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Christina, I cannot hear you.
I turned my mic on. I don't know.
I hear you now. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, so I'm here today because I wanted to go over what you, Madam President, mentioned at the last board meeting again, which was the uniform provision. And I just want to reiterate what was read, which is that your practice has always been to assist families who are in need of financial assistance. Families are encouraged to contact the school first, and the building principal will determine the form and type of assistance that is appropriate. Each school has an inventory of gently used uniforms, as well as the ability to provide vouchers for families to go and purchase the uniforms. The school board administrator, Mr. Kennedy, also let me know that the district has ARP funding to purchase several school uniforms to be kept at each school in the event a family is in need. So I just want to get more clarity about this provision that you, Madam President, said was available to students, because a vast majority of our school community is unaware of these provisions, mainly because it's not written into policy. So the question is, why is this provision not written anywhere? Elizabeth Parents and Students Care took the liberty of putting it on paper and distributing it to the school community via our Facebook page. But I'm not clear as to why the superintendent and the school board is basically refusing to put this on paper so that parents know exactly what to do, and so that each school can also individually send out information to parents who are in need. So I'd like some clarity on that. We're holding this meeting today to discuss a residency issue for one of our students, and a committee was formed for this. And in all of the 9-10 years I've been attending these board meetings, I've never seen a committee held in public like this before. So for the sake of transparency, who's on this committee, and why haven't we held residency committees for other students? Because there are a vast majority of student and student athletes that do not live in Elizabeth, who don't own a home in Elizabeth or have a signed lease like Coach Fiore does and has proven that. And so I don't quite understand why we're holding this specific meeting for Coach Fiore, and we haven't done so in the past for other students. I think this is a gross injustice that is being carried out by this board. And it is extremely sad to see a beloved coach who has done everything in his power for this school community be disregarded in this manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moreira. Can we stop the feedback, please? Thank you. Thank you.
You need to turn your sound up so
They can hear me though. It's all.
oh, so we can hear.
Oh, can you hear me?
Everybody speaks so they can hear through your laptop, so he can mute his.
Oh. Oh, yeah. Okay, no problem. So first off, Ms. Moreira, the uniform policy that you're referring to, I will speak with our superintendent, and I will ask her to have a conversation or a meeting with our principals in order for them to all be on the same record, since you said that you reached out to principals and they are unaware. So we will make sure that all the principals are aware of that. As far as the residency hearings, we have held several residency hearings for the
Madam
last several
President,
years.
I'd respectfully
And the residency hearing that just happened, it was a legal committee who were the members on that that conducted that last residency hearing. Okay, thank you. At this time, I'm going to call, I think it's Alec Dos Santos. It's Alec. Okay, thank you. At this time, I'm going to call Yasmin Myers. No, okay, thank you. At this time, I'm going to call Miss Maria Lorenz.
Hello,
Thank you.
can anyone hear me?
Hello,
Hello,
Miss
I
Lorenz.
can hear you,
don't
Ms.
hear you.
Lorenz.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. I believe that what Christina was talking about was the policy. That is not just the only policy that we have an issue with. We also have issue and take issue with the CPAC policy, which hasn't moved, hasn't been done. Nothing's been done to address it. Here we are into a new school year, and parents are unaware of a CPAC. Most of the parents you put on that committee are also unaware of what their duties are. So that needs to be clarified, and I believe that that is the responsibility of the board as a whole, and that has been something that you've been derelict all in your duties to address. In addition to that, I want to talk about
Ms. Lorenz, you're frozen. Oh, okay, we have stopped your time.
may I continue?
Yeah, but you were frozen. We were trying to let you know that you were frozen, so we stopped your time as a courtesy. You can continue when she starts talking. You're frozen again. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I am still here. Hello?
You can continue.
So it's very disrespectful that you guys are not able to even show up to a virtual meeting on time. I want to also discuss the action that you're going to take on Coach Fury. I think it's disrespectful to the students that came out to speak that you still continue to do this action as a duty of a board member. That I will remind all of you, you are supposed to be fiscally responsible. I don't see how firing Coach Fury is being fiscally responsible, considering that this board has fired other employees based on their political views. Actually, there was some Goncalves and Lester Dominguez as well. That was a political firing for which the board paid dearly in taxpayer money for that. You paid millions of dollars for that political firing. In addition to that came the whole controversy with Coach Quinn, which was also a point of contention because you wanted somebody. I heard rumors and comments of people, oh, we want somebody who's Elizabeth grown. Coach Quinn also sued and won. So here we have another case where you're going to fire a coach despite whatever your evidence or despite the ignorance of the facts that you chose to accept. And we're going to get another lawsuit. So how is this being fiscally responsible as a board member? How are you making good decisions for our kids? And have you really thought of the impact that this does to our children in the community? They came out to speak. No disrespect, but the board president, you, Madam President, were super disrespectful to one of those people in the audience. And I think it could have been handled differently. It just goes to show the immaturity of the board, along with the disrespect to the public and the lack of concern for the downstream impact that this has on our kids. I don't think that you are all making a great decision. I think that this is definitely somebody that has an axe to grind, just like they did in the previous lawsuits that were filed.
Thank you. At this time, I'm gonna call Robin Ruos. Thank you. At this time, call Paloma Silva. Thank you. At this time, I'm gonna call Fairlyn Chisholm. At this time, I'll call Hazel Gomez. At this time, I'm gonna call Adrian Vasquez. At this time, I'm gonna call Yenny Sedano. At this time, I'm gonna call Ms. Baptista. At this time, I'm gonna call Ms. Flor Martinez. At this time, I'm gonna call Jalen Ramirez. At this time, I'm gonna call Jimmy Jose Jesus. Okay, thank you. This time I'm gonna call Jason Robinson. At this time, I'm gonna call Yanith Espinazo. And at this time, I'm gonna call Mr. John Fiore.
Good afternoon, board. Just wanted to give everybody an update before they determine my son's residency. In the meeting that we had with the subcommittee, the board's or Dr. Ugelmeyer's investigation stopped on the second day of school, where the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth day of school, the investigators took pictures of my son and I going in and out of the apartment. Since then, as per the person from the Board of Health that was sent to my apartment, to my landlord's dwelling, in which he's had rented out for many, many years prior to me renting there, which I had a lease, which I was living in. Her words, you had to really piss somebody off who's high up, came and investigated, said that the apartment I was in couldn't have beds in it any longer. So therefore my lease was terminated. I do have a 2-bedroom on Monroe ready to go. If this board deems my son a resident, he and I will be moving in there. They're putting appliances in this week, and I can give you that lease and address after this hearing, as long as my son is a resident here. He has lost 11 pounds since this situation occurred. He's trying to hold up a tough chin. Lost it the other day with one of our staff members crying. Felt like he got his dad fired. He did nothing of the sort. I am the coach that followed every letter of the rules that you have put in place in your welcome center. Everything I had to do to rent an apartment here, become a member of the community, a community that I adore and love. Hundreds of text messages and emails have come my way via the kids and their parents on how much I mean to them. You know, I came into this profession 30 years ago to save kids, to help kids, and I would think our board members are sitting at that panel to do the same. And the adverse effect of what is going on to them and to my son, you know, is awful. You know, I have tried and reached out to try to make a deal with the board, but to deaf ears. So, you know, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Ferrari. At this time, I'm gonna have Karen Fiore speak. Yeah, she's here.
Okay. Hi there. As you are aware, my name is Karen Fiore, and I'm the mother of John Fiore Jr. I want to reiterate what the board has done with respect to the residency issue is not above board. You made a decision, as my husband said, within 3 days of school. You provided no guidelines or no additional guidelines or additional requirements, and have used my son as a weapon against his father. In the month of September, my son spent well over 70% of his time living in Elizabeth, and it has been documented. I am truly unclear why the superintendent seems to be so intent on my son, John Jr., being excluded from the Elizabeth community. I also wonder how rigorous the process is around the transfer of other student athletes at this level of detail. Unfortunately, I am inclined to conclude this is not about John Jr., but about removing Coach Fiore from his football position. This is not only a disservice to my child, but many of the student athletes within the Elizabeth School District. I simply ask for rational and unbiased thinking to prevail and to please not punish my son. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fiore. At this time, I'm gonna call Ms. Desiree McCray, excuse me. Thank you. At this time, I'm gonna call Ms. Doris Romero. Thank you. Can you unmute yourself, please? Ms. Doris? I don't see her. Ms. Doris? All right, at this time, I'm gonna call Mr. Steve. Steve Paraso,
I could probably help you with that. That's probably me, Steve Farcio.
is he on? Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steve Farcio. I'm an attorney here in Flemington at Trinity and Farcio. I represent John Fiore with respect to his employment. I'm here today to talk and hopefully have you guys do some real thinking before you make some decisions here. This is a mess, and this is a self-created mess, and I don't understand it. I want to be very clear so you guys understand where I'm coming from. I don't just represent individuals. I represent schools. I still represent schools. I know exactly what the deal is. I know exactly what the rules are. I know exactly what the statutes say. None of it's been followed here. None of it. I have tried on more than one occasion to try to rectify the situation, and all I get is a runaround with just empty statements with no facts. The residency issue is what it is. I think it's a transparent action that was taken. You guys are going to have to deal with that. But let me just be very clear. I sent, first and foremost, the superintendent has zero power to terminate or suspend any employee. She has to make a recommendation. Now, I sent an email on September 27th, and I indicated to your counsel that as of right now, there's been no action taken with respect to Mr. Fiore's position. So as far as I'm concerned, and as I sit here today, he's still the head coach. And what I got back was less than 3 hours later, I get an email back that all of a sudden now there's going to be a special meeting. And the special meeting is to now decide, well, let me just read it because this is not legal either. The letter says that the board will address a resolution approving and ratifying the superintendent's removal of your client from his position as head football coach and terminating his stipend. I got news for you guys. You can't ratify a superintendent's decision. You can only vote on a recommendation. The superintendent has zero power to terminate or suspend. That's not been done. You violated his rights notices. I got some type of indication that Rice all of a sudden trumps a litigation matter. Not true. There's 2 exceptions. There's 9 exceptions to what involves an executive session. My client wanted his position discussed in public. One of them is if an individual employee waives his right and requests it to be done in public, that's what it's got to be done. It does not say that if there's anticipated litigation that it trumps Rice. That still hasn't been done. You haven't given him a Rice notice for today. I suggest you not vote today. The second thing, and the third thing I should say, is that you guys need to understand that the law applies to Elizabeth. And just like the 2 ladies spoke earlier, we do plan on suing, but this should be resolved.
Thank you. And lastly, I have Miss Sonia Nicholas. Miss Sonia? Show me. Miss Sonia, can you unmute yourself, please? Okay. Thank you. Ms. Sonia and Ms. Doris. No? Okay. I know, but she's not unmuting. All right, at this time, I end the public comment portion. Thank you. I think, Mr. Kology would like to speak.
Yes, I just want to
Uh,
address Mr. Farcio's comments. He represents a client, and I certainly understand his obligations to his client. He, myself, Mr. Varady, Judge Malone, we have been communicating via emails over the last several weeks regarding this matter. Quite frankly, we are in disagreement with virtually everything he has said. And it's not unusual for that to be the case in a litigation, potential litigation setting. So as recently as an hour ago, I, advised Mr. Farcio, I have nothing else to discuss. The board's going to address this matter, and certainly he's free to do whatever he needs to do to vindicate the interests of his client. But as I assured him that we have proceeded properly, he disagrees. Now he can do whatever he needs to do to try to vindicate that issue. Thank you.
Thank you. I also want to say that, I know that, as the president and on behalf of the entire board, we all appreciate your comments and positions regarding a lot of the difficult issues that were addressed today and over the last, month. Unfortunately, some of these issues, they involve whether it's potential litigation, personal issues, or just student privacy. So we're really unable to respond and provide any information, as you may be aware. But I do want to assure everyone that, the board as a whole has and will always continue to proceed in the best interest of our students, our district, and our parents and employees. And we're just trying to continue and proceed in accordance to the law. So please don't look at us not responding as, disrespect, but there's certain things we just cannot do and cannot respond to. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you. At this time, I would like to continue with our agenda. And at this time, Mr. Kennedy, we could present the two resolutions that are on the agenda for today's meeting, please.
First resolution is Resolution 10, and it reads, whereas has it been determined that an issue existed as to the bona fide residency of student JF Jr. for the 2024-25 school year, and whereas pursuant to law, an investigation was conducted into said residency issue, and whereas based upon the results of said investigation, the student was notified by the superintendent that the residency requirements were not met, as well as other information required to be provided by law, and an initial notice of ineligibility pursuant to NJAC 6A-22-4.2 and NJAC 6A:22-4.3B1. And whereas a hearing was conducted before a committee of the board on September 27th, 2024, pursuant to NJAC 6A:22-4.3E, to afford said student with legal counsel an opportunity to satisfy the burden of proving a bona fide residency. And whereas following a review of the evidence adduced at said hearing, including testimony and documentation, the committee determined that the legal requirements of residency had not been met, and has recommended such findings to the full Board of Education pursuant to NJAC 6A:22-4.3E. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Elizabeth Board of Education that it does hereby adopt the findings of the committee and hereby determines that JF Jr. has not satisfied the legal residency requirements to enable him to attend Elizabeth Public Schools. And it is further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded immediately following passage by the board secretary to both JF Jr. and his legal counsel.
May I have a motion to approve and a second, please?
Motion to approve the resolution.
Rosa, can you repeat yourself? I didn't hear you.
We just,
Do you hear me?
No,
Oh. Mm.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, motion to approve the resolution.
second.
I need a second, please.
I second the motion.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly second to approve the resolution. 10. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Barbosa,
Yes.
Carvalho, Mrs. Carvalho,
Yes.
Chevron,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Maureen Ortega,
Yes.
Naron,
Yes.
Goncalves Pestana,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Bathos.
Yes.
And now we have resolution 10A. Resolution, whereas as a result of an investigation into certain conduct on part of JF, an employee of the Elizabeth Board of Education, on September 12th, 2024, the superintendent of schools imposed a disciplinary penalty, removing said employee from the position of head football coach and rescinding his 24-25 stipend for such position. Now therefore be it resolved by the Elizabeth Board of Education that the action of the superintendent of schools as aforesaid be and is hereby adopted and ratified.
Thank you. May I have a motion and a second to approve, please?
I motion the action discussed.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly second to accept the resolution 10A. Mr. Kennedy, roll call, please.
Barbosa,
Yes.
Carvalho,
Yes.
Chevron,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Maureen Ortega,
Yes.
Naron,
Yes.
Goncalves Pestana,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Bathos.
Yes. Thank you. Are there any comments or questions, or comments from our board members? Any comments from our attorneys? Superintendent? Okay.
Ms. Bathurst,
Yes.
I just want to thank you for your leadership around this matter. Obviously, it was a very difficult decision for the board to make based on the circumstances involving not only a head football coach, but students involved. I think the board has done what they can to really make sure that, we can move forward in a progressive manner. We hope that things like this don't happen in the future and that we're not put in such a position. But, want to just thank everybody for their time, diligence, and, to everyone. There's a lot of legal stipulations that cannot be discussed in public. And in due time, everybody will understand the rationale behind some of these decisions that are made. But just want to thank everybody for their time and patience.
Thank you so much, Mr. VP. We appreciate that. And again, yes, thank you everyone for making the time to be here today. We truly appreciate your time. At this time, may I have a motion to adjourn our meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn today's meeting.
And a second, please.
Second it.
It's been moved and probably second to adjourn today's meeting at 1:19 p.m. Mr. Kennedy, roll call, please.
Barbosa,
Yes. Good afternoon.
Carvalho,
Yes.
Chevron,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Maureen Ortega,
Yes.
Naran,
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Goncalves Quintana,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
and Bath.
Yes, thank you and God bless and enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you.